What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Rideshare Hub. My name's Greg. What I'm doing for you guys today is how to master consecutive trips, the consecutive trip bonuses on Uber. If you're a Lyft driver, only Lyft driver, this won't apply to you because Lyft doesn't do any bonuses or anything cool or good for that matter. Throwing a little shade at the beginning of the video. Just kidding, but that is true. But basically, yeah, so I've talked to a lot of people how with these consecutive trip bonuses, a lot of people I've talked to won't even really try for them, or they think they're not worthwhile. So I'm going to go over some things that I've learned from doing them and how I've kind of mastered them and learned how to really use them effectively. But right before we get into this video, I just wanted to talk to you guys about Cargo Snack Box. Cargo Snack Box is a really awesome really awesome service. And basically this company will send you a free box of snacks that you can then sell to your customers. So you make about $1 for every sale you make, and some of the better, really consistent drivers have reported that they make an extra $300 a month doing it. So might be worth checking it out. Link is in the description. You definitely want to look into it. But let's jump right into this video. So here's the biggest, probably the number one tip I would say overall. So I learned this lesson the very first time I saw a really big 3-ride consecutive trip bonus, and I think it was a $14.50 for 3 rides. So obviously that's good because 1 ride for $14.50 is a pretty good ride, because you can probably do that in under a half hour, or 40 minutes, and then you still have 20-30 minutes to make at least $5 and make 20 an hour. That's just how I look at it. So the biggest thing I learned is, I remember the very first time I saw a big one, I went out and I was thinking, okay, I'm going to go to a really busy college town area where I can do 3 really quick rides like I would if I was in that area normally. And then I'll do it 2 or 3 times as I can in that span of time and try and hit that bonus as many times as I can. So what happens is I get the first 2 rides, and the third one took me over 45 minutes to get, which at that point it had basically made it 2 normal driving hours, because I gave 2 rides in the first hour and I was in a crappy area, so it was 2 short rides, probably $5 each, if even. So I made $10 in that first hour, but I'm thinking that whole time, okay, I'm going to get that third one, even if it's for 5, then I've got 15 with the bonus, that's $30 in an hour, I'm happy. But that didn't happen. So instead it took 45 minutes, it dipped into my second hour. And so at that point, there was no point in even doing it. You see what I'm saying? So here's what I think happens. So that started happening to me more and more, to the point where I didn't want to do it. So what I started doing is, if I was going to an area for consecutive rides, I would turn on my Rider app and I would see how many drivers are in this area. And so what I noticed is, I think when we're all getting those bonuses, every driver is okay, I'm going to go to the really quick ride area where I know I can do 3 short rides and do 3 short rides. And then there's an influx of drivers and nobody's hitting that bonus. And maybe that's a little bit of a plot from Uber to get a lot of drivers out there at busy times. So here's a few things that I have done to really maximize these. So the biggest thing I learned is basically what I just said. You've got to go to, honestly, areas you might not normally go to. So the biggest thing to remember with them is you just have to get the first ride in the zone, and then the next 2 can be anywhere. So what I like to do is I go to a really fringe outskirts area that's just barely in the little zone that qualifies you for it. And I usually get a ride, at a normal pace, within 10 minutes. And then for those next 2 rides, now you got to kind of know your area, but what I do for those next 2 rides is, then I know I go to the closest, what I think would be a somewhat busy area, but that's not a hot spot. So maybe there's an outskirt town. I'm going to go park at a McDonald's and hoping I get, some teenager leaving his shift 5 minutes away. And this has almost always worked for me. So basically I get that first ride in the fringe zone, And then those next 2 rides, I'll just go to some area where like all the drivers are going to pull away from. If they're all going to a really condensed area to try to hit that bonus, I'm going to go to an area that like no one normally is ever at anyways, because the few drivers who might be there are more than likely not there at that time. And when I've done this, I can almost always hit like, I'm almost always hitting an entire 3 rides in the first hour. And then I'm a lot of times even starting at least that first one in the next hour so that I can get to real quick. So like it might be that like, let's say it was from 3 to 4 p.m. Maybe I do three rides from like 3 to 3:45, and then at 3:50 I start the first one so that I can actually complete a second bonus. I hope that made sense. Now, obviously, if one of those rides is closer to 20 minutes, like that's going to throw that off. And that's going to happen every now and then. I mean, that's just Uber driving. I mean, we don't really ever know what's going to happen. We don't really ever know where our rides are going to take us. So that's the first way. Now, this is probably my favorite way of doing it. So the second way I'll do it is I get that first ride out of the way, and from wherever I end up, as long as I know it's like decent enough, I set a destination for the airport. So like I was saying, you got to be in an area where you think there is a good chance of getting an airport ride. Like if you're in like a real busy downtown area that you know you don't normally get a lot of like airport rides out of downtown, well then it's not, you know, you're wasting your time. But even downtown should get you an airport ride pretty quickly because people are leaving hotels. Maybe like your least likely chance would be like a college town or something where you're not going to really set an airport destination from there. But you can even still do that because you might not get an airport ride, but you'll get like maybe at least going in that direction, and then it'll get you closer to someone who is going to the airport. Here's the reason I do this. So once I get that first ride, my second ride, I'm getting a ride to the airport more than likely. At least where I live, like airport rides are pretty common. And if you set a destination for one, like the Uber destination filter does a really good job of like trying to get you an airport ride. Now, what's awesome about this is then if you have Uber Gold Rewards, which if you drive like relatively decent enough, you're going to have Uber Gold Rewards. You know, I mean, that's probably like 20 hours a week and you can hit that like fast, and probably still could even hit it at like 10 to 15 hours a week. But what that does is it gives you the faster pickups at the airport. The reason why that's so important is because you're dropping off your second ride and you get your third and final ride of the bonus immediately pretty much at the airport. Now, for me, two airport rides are usually good rides. So, I mean, I'm usually making at least $15 on an airport ride with tips. That I'm a huge fan of airport rides because I pretty much always get tipped, I feel like, and they usually go a good distance. You know, my airport isn't all that close to too many areas, so it's usually like at least a 10-minute ride. But almost always, I feel like 15 to 20 is like really, really common. So what happens is I'm usually getting anywhere from like a $7 to $12 ride to start, and then anywhere from like a 12 to 15 on the 2 airport rides. Maybe we'll say more like 8 to 11. So let's just even lowball it and say I did $7 and then 2 $8 rides to the airport and leaving. So $23 in an hour, that's already a good hour. But then on top of it, I'm throwing on, we'll just say a $10 consecutive trip bonus. So I made $34 in that hour. Now, a lot of times I've had it where I got like 2 $20 airport rides. So I did like $40. Now that's usually going to take more like probably an hour 20. So a little over your hour. But think about it. You're doing 2 airport rides like that are $20 each, $40. Let's even say your first ride was minimum and you got paid $260. So you're at $42.60, and then you hit a bonus for $10 again, we'll say. $52.60 in like just over an hour 20. So that probably averages out to somewhere around 40 for that hour. And then obviously going into the next hour strong as well. So that's my favorite way to utilize it. I do that especially often on weekdays because there's not going to be a lot of surging and stuff. So it gets me like a really good start if I start during then, or it gets me like really encouraged on a weekday if I give if I do hit one of those bonuses to like in the middle of the day or to start my day, because it just racks my earnings way up and I feel better about being out on a weekday. So there's I mean, technically there's a lot of other ways you can do it, but the main way I recommend, like I said, especially on a weekday, is getting that first ride and then doing destination to the airport, and then obviously you'll get an exit airport ride. Some other things you could do, like I would say if it's on the weekend and you're dealing with a lot of surging, I wouldn't try too hard for them. I would, going later into the night, like you usually end up hitting them no matter what you do. And my favorite weekends are like when there's weekends where there's like 3 consecutive trip bonuses pretty much all day. And then there'll be like decent surging throughout the day. And like, I'll have stretches where from like 1 to 3 a.m., I'll make like $150 off of surge rides and consecutive trip bonuses because they're all just mashed together. So there's really some magic when you do some weekend driving for these, because a lot of times you'll hit like 3 an hour and you don't even know you're even on them because you're giving such back-to-back rides. Weekend driving in particular, like you really want to stick with Uber for these reasons, because Lyft doesn't offer any of this, you know. Lyft, you'll get a little dinky $2.75 bonus, where if you wait an hour, it'll go up to $4. I'm not bitter. I'm not salty. Yeah, so I mean, that's the gist of like how you're going to use these. My whole mindset with these is I'm never too married to them. Like if it seems too inconvenient for me to drive to the zone, I more than often won't waste my time, because again, how many of you guys have noticed, for instance, when Uber and Lyft send you emails for some big concert coming up, and you'll be waiting outside the concert venue, and then it lets out and you'll get like a $5 surge at most, but then you'll wait in 40 minutes of traffic for it. So it's kind of the similar concept. I feel like whenever things like that happen, it brings out a lot of drivers that don't normally drive, because they want that big bonus and they think, hey, this is a good day for me to make like a $300 day, you know. And little do they know that that's starting to happen where like everybody's thinking that way. So in most cases, if it just seems too difficult or something, I just don't trust it, you know. And you don't want to throw yourself so far off pace because you're trying so hard to hit some bonus, you know. But that's what I got for you guys. I hope you get something out of this video. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and I will talk to you guys soon.